Okay, everyone. Today I want to show you guys how to put your letters on using your grid. So the first thing you'll notice is we did make a 20 by 10 grid. So what that's basically going to do is give us 5 boxes for each of the letters. Okay. You don't want to use any more or any less than that because it's going to make them feel not so uniform. So what I'm doing right now is just going through and marking off some ticks at the top there so I don't forget where I want to put my letters. I chose to use the word dads, probably just because I'm sitting around at home right now, and it seems to be just about everything I'm doing right now is just being a dad. So it was kind of an easy 4 letter word for me. I did upload a packet for you guys for suggestions for the letters if people have any problems thinking of how they're going to do this. The packet's actually already split up into 5 by 10 grids, so you can just go through and pick the letters that you need from there, look back at it for reference. If for some reason you do want to change whatever the letter style is, you're always more than welcome to do that. Okay, you don't have to use what's in the packet, but I know a lot of people get really stressed out on how to make like an S or how to make an X or something like that. So I've got some pretty good examples in there as far as what I would do for those letters. Okay. So I'm just going around here and really strengthening the lines for the letters that I put in there. If you happen to be thinking that you're going to want some of your designs hanging over the edges of the letters or going into the letters or anything like that, you may not want to put them as dark as I'm doing right now. It's going to be kind of hard to erase those lines if you do them really dark. So, you just kind of got to think about that. So if I wanted something hanging off the edge on the top there, maybe my kids just being crazy, hanging all over dad, right? If I made those tops really dark, I'm not going to be able to erase it. Okay. If you are someone who wants to make your own font style for this, just kind of look at those letter examples for a second and notice a couple of things. You'll notice that all of the open spaces are pretty uniform as far as their size. So all the open spaces in like the A's and the B's and everything in my font have 2 boxes. Okay, so there's always 2 boxes for any opening. Anything that's a little larger, like the D or the underneath side of the A there, you'll notice is 4 spaces. Okay, so if you kind of change those up as you go through it, it's not really going to feel quite as uniform uh, for the completed piece, and it'll distract the eye. Again, one of the main things with this piece, with the patterns, the designs, the perspective, the letters, and everything like that, is to make the whole piece the showcase. We're not trying to make one thing stand out more than anything else. We're trying to fill the whole space with some interesting design work so that everybody just kind of takes in the whole thing. Kind of opposite of some kind of art projects where you want something to be a focus or anything like that. So just something to consider if you're thinking about making your own ones. If you're somebody who happens to want to make bubble letters, when you watch the video of finishing it off, I'm going to talk a lot about how to cut off the edges and things. Just know that it could be a little more difficult. So for this project in 6th grade, I highly recommend using sharp-edged letters. All right. So it just makes the final product a little easier, especially if you're still new or learning perspective. Some people think the bubble letters would be easier. They're definitely going to be a little easier to put in the boxes, just because you don't have to think about it. But when with giving you those pattern packets, you pretty much wouldn't have to think anyway. So I wouldn't really worry about that if that's something that you're thinking. Okay. S is probably one of the most difficult ones for anybody to kind of think of. So I threw one in here just so you could see how I'd go about doing it. I think I even make a little bit of a mistake when I'm doing it here, so just kind of an FYI. They do bother me just as much as they're going to bother you guys. So, okay. So hopefully everybody picked out a really cool word for their project. I know just kind of strange, but that's one of the hardest parts of doing this is just really thinking of what you're gonna do. Like what kind of a word? See, here's the mistake that I made here. It's like, oops, maybe I needed that to go up. So then I go to erase that. Luckily, I drew kind of dark, but not dark enough that I couldn't erase it. Okay. But yeah, if you can't find a word that comes up with some designs, it can be a little difficult. So I recommend thinking of a word that's like generic, so not something that you'd have to make the pictures of, like dogs or something like that, but maybe a word like cool or something like that, because then you could just take the whole time and do your design with things that you think are cool. Okay. When we're all done, we want to clean up any of these extra marks that we have left, any of the extra boxes inside the letters and up and around and outside the letters, just so that we don't get confused later when we're looking for our points that we're going to put our vanishing lines off of here. So I'm just going through and erasing everything real fast here and just kind of getting it all nice and cleaned up here. So, all right, so we're pretty close to getting ready to finish this thing up here. After you do this, most of the technical work will be done. So hopefully so far they're looking good, and yeah, I can't wait to see them. Bye.